Hello, everybody. Welcome to another presentation of Mars Revealers, Mars Anomalies, and Archaeology. We got another cool presentation for you all today, as we're going to be studying and looking into the Pyramid of Isidis. Very alluring indeed. So, the feature in question is right here, as a matter of fact. And, as you can see, right in the center of the screen is what, would appear to be a crater. And you got a whole bunch of other zigs and zags and crags and rags and features all among the surface here. But the feature in question we're going to be looking at today is within this really amazing circular pattern just sitting above the rim of this crater of what would appear to be structures or features rather, and one or two, but one in particular has to do with this top left at the 11 o'clock position feature slash structure here, and its secondary counterpart right here to the right of it. Very interesting indeed. So let's look around for a little bit so you can check it all out. Sorry about my mouse there. This is a different system I'm working on. Hence, I apologize being late for putting forth this video. But whether you know or not, I've had some computer issues. So, those are trying to be worked on. But minimally for what I need to be doing right now, I seem to be bringing it forth to you. So, but anyway, so again, it's within this very interesting array of a circular pattern of what I call structures or features. It just doesn't seem like it looks right, does it? I mean, because then if you study each one closely, it's like, how do you determine what's natural and not natural? Well, there's geometry you would look for. Well, we have a circle right here. All right, we have one right here too, but this obviously doesn't look like it's, having much structure to it per se. Like these would be, there's no crater here, and yet we're getting a circular pattern. And this is going to be part of a much larger study later on. And again, I'm not going to put all that much effort into this one except to focus on the main structure. As incredible as this whole area is, as you could again see from the last scene here. So, and there's lots to see in this area. And a lot of people could really easily misunderstand and overlook such features. But hey, it is what it is. That's why I'm here. So, here it is again, a little bit closer up. And these images here have been from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter Context Camera, or the CTX camera. And again, this is the feature we'll be looking at. Really interesting, I gotta say, because if you can look at it right away, it definitely doesn't look like its counterparts in this circular pattern, correct? But it stands out. It's got geometry to it, doesn't it? It points right up at you, booming from the surface. And there's a Mars Express view, color view, whatnot, from the Google Earth. And again, though, being lower resolution, that doesn't mean that the imagery and the data is less important to see in the study. The features and or feature that is worthy to be studied. The more data, the better, even lower resolution, which can help at times for certain things, but higher resolution imagery and having more of it once a feature has been established that's worthy of study is definitely needed and warranted, obviously. But look, the fascination that puts me off on this, and again, because of the geometry as well, look at that shadow that it casts. Right, very, very interesting. Again, lower resolution, and I believe we have here's another one. Zoomed in a little bit closer and tried to be brought out better. I got to do the raw color data for this image and other areas as well. And in the future, I will update all of that. but this is the data that they put out there. So no one could question it. It's from official sources, right? You got to believe it, right? Because you're seeing it from it. It's an official source. But anyway, here's a Mars Express image that I processed from the raw data. And again, lower resolution, which, again, was for this image, for the color. And again, you can see the shadow being cast off. And its neighboring so-called, people would just say, is a crater. But no, look, it has casting off a shadow as well. You know, again, when you look at things two-dimensionally, that's why it's so easy also to overlook what's really there on that surface, you know. But it's, when you do find some and then you test it with 3D, it kind of help bring it to life, pun intended, as it was. So this is, again, a lower resolution Mars Express image that was the same for that color image. Here's a little bit higher resolution from another Mars Express image. Okay, this is more understandable and better to see, correct? But the feature's still there, but it's not casting off its shadow. And once again, you can see its geometry as it was. You can make out its faces. It's definitely pyramidal. But again, they're different. Like all these remote viewers, I would claim that, they would see, or the few of however many there were, they would say that there's pyramids on the surface, but what? Everyone overlooks this part of what's said next. But they're different. So we have different forms of pyramidal structures that are infused with the surface. Again, in my opinion, that's what I'm seeing, because nature doesn't make such geometrical regularities. And just look at that. I mean, I'm in awe all the time. But anyway, I digress. All right. So there's a better image, obviously, from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter CTX imager. So we see our secondary friend here, and notice there's like a lobe here. Two-dimensionally, you could even see there's a lobe which rises up some from the level of this so-called crater rim, correct? Well, we'll just keep that in mind. Again, this is going to be part of a larger study for the bigger grouping of that circle of features. But as it is now, again, we're focusing mainly on this pyramid of Isidis. And let's zoom in a little bit and check it out. If you people are in a rush, I'm sorry, because it's just fascinating being able to look at this stuff, zoom into this stuff, look around and at the nook and crannies, and appreciate what's being seen, especially compared to what we have just seen for this pyramid of Isidis already. And obviously one would say, that don't look like the pyramids in Egypt and stuff. It doesn't matter. They're different, okay? And they definitely have mathematical constants to it, as well as engineering characteristics that are beneficial. If you watched the last video I made, the Pyramid of Candor, of a famously, virally known three-sided, what appears to be a three-sided pyramid, what that kind of explains. I'm not going to get into all those same definitions and into the intense study as that one was. I was doing that on purpose and to make a point that you don't need a PhD and to pull out all the thesis out of your ass in order to show what's really being seen in the data. Anyone can look at this and says, well, hey, this kind of looks pyramidal. Look, it's got even, it's buttresses as it was, and it comes up to an apex, to a pointed apex. Some would say, well, if this was a three-sided pyramid, then maybe it has some damage. Maybe. But it doesn't mean, or not mean, that the designers of this have that geometry infused, but it's also added on to, again, geometrically. Like, for instance, I bet many of you haven't even seen this. Follow my mouse. Let's go to this corner. Follow it across. Come down. Go up. Right up to the face That makes what? A triangle. I could have did some line tracings for you, but I didn't. Again, computer issues, and I got other videos to get to. But not only that imprint of geometry, we have this one. Again, go over to here, down to here, up, and you got, so it's basically another triangle. But the main triangular feature is right here. And you can also subtly see the line going up to here, which happens to butt up over the edge of a so-called crater where the point of these all match up, and geometrically, how many coincidences does it take when something's not a coincidence? You just don't understand what the hell you're looking at. All right, you've been imprinted with the concept of Mars that is like an Earth-like planet as much as possible, and contraire, mon frere, you're still comparing apples and oranges. Sorry, but that's the reality. They're two different worlds, and two different, in my opinion, intelligences that did the things that we're seeing here on Mars than what was done here on Earth. But that's another battle, and great discussions later on and for future shows of the Martian Revelation. Yes, we're trying to kick that up again, too. So, let's move on. So, here's an overlay of the Mars Express data on top of the... Wait a minute. Sorry, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter CTX image on top of the Mars Express color data, because I wanted to bring out the details better, because we see now low res, but remember, it's casting that shadow. And if you can see here, you can faintly see the shadow is being seen. So it's a fusion, as it was, a fusion of imagery. Especially when you have data that matches up, that could be overlaid correctly, where it's matching the features of the underlying image that you're overlaying it with to make a fusion. All right, because images sometimes can be taken at different angles and whatnot, and you can't get it realistically a good match. Maybe for some of the features, but you would have to be moving around the image a lot. But anyway, I'm just, ranting, all right? But it's really interesting, because we get to see what's in that color data a little better by the overlay and still get the valuable data like of the shadow line, etc. Correct? So, and for everyone out there that wants to know where this is, there's the coordinates right there along the top. Let me see, I'll zoom into it for you. So you can pause the screen, make a screen capture or whatnot. And when you watch these videos, I would suggest watching it in full screen mode. Whether it's on your TV, a TV monitor, computer monitor rather, obviously a phone, but still, mainly on the bigger screens, you get a better experience, in my opinion. So, let's move on. There's the coordinates. Happy-go-lucky, have some fun. Now, this is impressive. Again, no small feats of wonder. As from this corner down to this corner, right here, or what the rounded corner of the feature, I just made sure it's in the middle. It's 2 miles. Yes, 2 miles. Okay? Now, on the other end of the spectrum, on the other side of the pyramid, from here to its longest point, even though it has, look at that, double geometry, triangular, and then here, what would the, geometry-minded mathematicians, they can line this out and give you all the degrees and all that crap. All I know is I see the art, I see the geometry. But anyway, from this corner to this far corner, which you can see, comes to a point is 3.30 miles. 33, anybody? But it's still incredible. Look how it goes right up to the apex, especially with both angles of the faces of this pyramid. Very incredible. So 2 miles this way, 3.30. So if you go from here to here, I should have did 1 too, but it comes to about the same as it does here. So, that being said, let's move on. All right, now, this so-called crater of a secondary interesting partner there is 2.5 miles in size. Okay, so just to know that, again, this is not any tricks of imaging or any image artifacts as it was. That's not real. You know, you can put that right out of your head. These things are pretty sizable. And it's also consistent with all the other stuff that I reveal and the other members of the Mars Disclosure team reveal, that, again, these are no small feats of wonder. So there's a Mars Odyssey, the only Mars Odyssey image of it that's fairly decent. The rest are lower res and pretty much crap. But hey, we got it here. So I just thought I'd show that to you. All right. Again, the more sources, the more data, the better, you know. And again, you can still make out its sides, you know, its what we consider the buttresses and how clean it runs up to the apex. Okay. But there's no question about it. This is pyramid. Lo and behold, you know, these are just a couple examples of what you're going to see, obviously, in a couple moments of, you know me, and those that don't, you'll get to learn of me, is that I like to take the two-dimensional imagery and bring it to life as it was, so we could get a better look and feel and understanding of what it is that we're looking at two-dimensionally, and bring it to life as it was, to appreciate the scene a little more. And very interesting, isn't it? And not forget, this thing is not like it was made 10, 20,000 years ago. You know, more than even 10 million years ago. When you start considering those type of ages and epochs, again, maybe up to even more than 500 million years ago. And there's reasons for that. Very interesting, isn't it? And look how it comes down right into that corner, too. Boom. The 3 mile mark. Boom. 3.30. So 300, 33 as it was. What symbolism, what math. And you can still make out the triangular geometry, techno-signature. There you have it. So everyone, hopefully you all enjoyed this presentation and appreciate really of what we're looking at and what's really there to be looked at and questioned and studied in even greater detail than what I'm presenting here for you all. So to sum it all up, watch this few minute long video. Again, as usual, I try to present in here to you. It's not just for entertainment. It's for showing you the things that NASA's not doing, number one. Okay, but hey, they're giving us the data. We need to do what we do with the data to get it out there to you. So that's the name of the game. At least the data is coming in to the hands of the people. It's the data that's not that I demand and that I have issues with, and that past things, experiences of my life in this research to get you that truth, well, almost took my life a few times, but let's not get into that now. So, with that being said, enjoy this, the Pyramid of Isidis, and wait until the next videos. I got some doozies coming up, and we're only going to continue rocking because the Martian revelation is upon us all now. Peace. Bye.